Jill, the form's not working. Well, good evening, Wickliffe families. Welcome to our virtual kindergarten information night. We are excited to have all of you here and joining us this evening. My name is Angela Evans, and it is such a pleasure and honor to be Wickliffe's principal. While we all know that this is not our preferred way of welcoming you all to our Wickliffe community this evening, we hope that tonight you will still walk away feeling the love and compassion that fills our school community each day. Before we head into our program, hopefully some of you have some children sitting on the couch with you at home, and we would like to welcome them over to the couch or come on over to the screen so we can all take a minute and wave and say hello to some future kindergartners. Hi. Welcome, welcome. You should see all of our lovely team here this evening to be with us. Okay, we are thrilled, families, to have you joining us this evening to learn more about Wickliffe and to learn about what we have to offer here at school. I'm sure you all have had a chance to attend Tremont, Windermere, or Greensview information nights, and you're here this evening to gather more information about Wickliffe, to have a better understanding of what we believe in philosophically and our progressive roots, and also so you can make a decision as to what's best for your student, your child, and your family. We have a number of our staff members here this evening, and as you all know, we believe in caregivers, our co-educators in this process of the learning journey with children and with your own individual kids. So I want to take a minute for us to be able to say hello. We have, if you are a K1 teacher, just wave and say hi to everyone. They will introduce themselves later this evening when they have a chance to share. We have our school counselor. Go ahead and give a little wave. We have some of our support staff. You can go ahead and wave. And some of our PTO representatives. So thank you for all coming together, because we want you as families to know that when you join the Wickliffe community, you have a number of people here to support you along the journey of educating your kids, because we don't believe that kindergarten is just 1 year. You're here with us for 6 years. And so you got us. We're all here supporting you along the way. Tonight's presentation will be recorded. So if you know of any families who are not able to join us tonight, please let them know that there will be a recording on our website and the district website tomorrow evening, or tomorrow during the day. And then we know that tonight we want to be able to have opportunities for you all to ask questions. We will be answering questions towards the end of the evening. So if you have a question, maybe hold on to it a little bit, because we might get to that during our presentation. Okay, I am going to start our presentation. Okay. So this evening we will talk about, you will walk away having a better understanding of Wickliffe and progressive education. We'll talk about the registration process. We are hoping to have you really feel what it is like for our children in a K-1 day. We'll have our PTO representative talk. We'll talk through some nurse information, kindergarten screening, and then most importantly, you'll get a chance to hear from our students here at Wickliffe. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Irick.
Thank you, Angela. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple quick did you know statements that we are super proud of. First and foremost, this is our 50th anniversary as a program. Our program was established in 1972, so we're super excited, first and foremost, that we were brought together as a program by parents just like you, that were collaborating with teachers and OSU professors, looking for a different approach to teaching their children. And we've actually been we are at Barrington and Wickliffe, but we've actually been in other buildings as well. So it's just interesting how we've moved over the years, but happy 50th to our program. We are committed to 10 foundational principles. If and when you come into what we call our town square space, you will see these really large decals up on the wall, but really it's just at the heart of our pedagogy and our philosophy. It's what we strive to live out daily with the children in our classrooms. And the last point we just want to make before we start is that everything we do is at the heart of relationships. And we really value not only our relationship with parents and families, of course, with the child, but just looking at the reciprocity that exists and having relationships. And we're going to talk about the 2-year relationship that we established with the classroom teacher. But as Angela stated earlier, it truly takes a village, and we're here to support each other and to support your child. Next is Sarah. She is a K-1 teacher as well, and she's going to talk a little bit more about progressive education.
All right, thank you, Julie. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Giles. I teach K-1 here at Wickliffe. If you are a returning family, I'm happy you're here. And if you're a new family, welcome to Wickliffe. Julie talked a little bit about what does progressive education look like at Wickliffe. But if you were to Google progressive education, you would find that it is a national, even worldwide way of teaching and thinking about children and learning. So we often say in progressive education that it's hard to truly define what it is. And so this slide just has some words that stand out that resonate with us as a school community and what progressive education is. We look at different components of progressive education, the whole child being very important. So we don't just believe that your child is here to learn academics. While that is very important, we also look at your child's social and emotional development, their way of learning, and their interest. Because what we really want is we want children to learn to be lifelong learners and use their curiosity and inquisitivity to fuel their learning. So those are the things, the places that we start with in progressive education. We collaborate with parents as co-educators. That is one of our 10 foundational principles that Julie talked about. And we also want children to be able to collaborate amongst themselves in various size learning groups. Learning in a group is part of how we help children figure out how to interact with other people. We also think about children as community members and democratic citizens. So it's not just about their interactions within those small groups, but how do they interact with other classrooms, with the school, and how do we build that piece as they get older and grow and learn and interact in a variety of ways in their life experiences. Something that we believe in is helping children to have a developmentally appropriate view of social justice. And so in kindergarten and first grade, that looks at learning about how each one of us is unique, learning about other people, and learning how we build our community and our civility and our compassion within our classroom community. And I think up next is what is multi-age. Jody Blair, one of our 4-5 teachers, will be talking about that.
Thank you, Sarah. My name is Jody Blair, and I teach 4th and 5th grade multi-age classroom. And I'm just going to give you just some highlights of what it means to be in a multi-age classroom. We've had multi-age classrooms. They've been a part of our progressive education approach in Arlington, like Julie said, for 50 years now. It's our 50-year anniversary. This approach allows children to make connections from the very beginning of the year. When your kindergartner walks into the classroom, they'll be meeting some first graders, and those connections will continue to build and strengthen throughout the year. The first graders will be such a relief for the kindergartners to have somebody to look up to, somebody to go to, somebody to look for modeling in the classroom. Those connections are really, really important to establish at the beginning of the year, especially it seems like at recess. That lunch recess seems really long, and those first graders will help them figure out where to go, what to do, and all the different things that you can play. So building connections is really big in a multi-age classroom, as well as modeling. The children will have behaviors, expectations being modeled. Children will get to share their learning and work samples. And so that'll be modeled for each other. The older children do as much of the teaching of expected classroom behaviors, sometimes as the teacher. They come in after a year of experience to a classroom that they're familiar with, and they know the routines, and they kind of take the new class of kindergartners under their wing, and boy, does that build self-esteem and confidence. So kids have the opportunity to become leaders in a multi-age classroom, and sometimes they're active leaders, and a lot of times they're just leading by example. And those leadership roles can be taken on by both the kindergartners and the first graders. So from a teacher's perspective, when you have a wide range of children, the teacher themselves gets to look at children more as individuals instead of really relying on, oh, I have just first graders here. It opens up their eyes to say, you know, this is my individual in front of me, and these are their strengths, these are their weaknesses, and this is how we're going to move forward. And the children actually see each other as individuals, and they celebrate their strengths no matter what grade they're in. I know in my class, it's rare for us to separate into 4th or 5th grade. We do for math, but other than that, we're just Mrs. Blair's class, and we don't really acknowledge too often that, oh, you're just a 4th grader or you're a 5th grader. So that's really nice as well. And then we've been waiting for years to be able to go to an all-day kindergarten situation and to have K1s. And having children here in kindergarten all day just allows a child to remain in the same setting instead of making transitions throughout the day, maybe even up to 2 different transitions as they might head to a wraparound program. So they get to spend more time with their peers, they get to build relationships, they get to problem solve, and of course they get to learn. So we are very, very lucky to have a multi-age building. And I think I'm passing it on to Teresa Morley. She's our building secretary, and she's going to talk to you about kindergarten registration.
Hi, good afternoon or evening, everybody. Our kindergarten registration window actually opened on this past Monday for students who will be 5 years old by September the 30th of this year, 2022. The registration process begins on the district website at the link you see on the screen, and there are detailed instructions on that registration page. We ask that you would please try to register prior to the end of the initial registration window, which is March 8th. This will allow us the maximum time to plan for staffing and be prepared to welcome and support your students. On the slide, you'll see a list of documents that you will need to upload as part of the registration process. So we suggest that you have those ready before you begin that process. All of our registration is centralized. So if you need any help or questions about registration, you can email enrollment@uaschools.org. And a link for that email is also on the district registration page. And now I'm handing it off to Kristen Gentian, another member of our K-1 team, to share what a typical K-1 day might look like.
Thank you, Teresa. Hi, everyone. As Jody mentioned earlier, this is the first year that we have been fortunate enough to have a full day kindergarten day. And even more exciting that we were able to offer this in a kindergarten first grade multi-age setting. So on the left of the screen, you'll see a sample of just a schedule, a classroom schedule, and what a typical day might look like for your child. And then since you were not able to join us in a physical sense, being present in our school, we're hopeful this video will provide a valuable lens for you into what each of these components of our day looks like. Well, after the video, we'll also, I guess, discuss even further each section of the day and touching on what play might look like during our day, what early literacy looks like. So we're hopeful you'll have a really good idea of all the things that we value at Wickliffe and the progressive education setting and a multi-age classroom model. So Angela, you can go ahead and start the video.
And now we are on to classroom meetings, and I am Andrea Kernan, one of the K1 team members. And so our classroom meetings are really opportunities to gather together throughout the day. We have them for closing meeting and morning meeting. These are great opportunities to gather together and greet one another, as well as send each other off until we gather again the next day or next week. In these meetings, we generate ideas for learning and also sharing out our thinking. This connects to our principle, one of our foundational principles of actively engaging in the process of learning. We problem solve democratically, again, connecting to another one of our foundational principles, working through anything that may arise as a classroom community. Oftentimes that happens after recess where there's been a conflict and we come together to problem solve and then move on throughout our day. Morning meetings, classroom meetings serve as an opportunity for children to have a voice in our classroom communities and to give adults the opportunity to listen and foster conversation, as well as the meetings provide an opportunity to establish routines and rituals that allow relationship building to occur, as well as learning and the joy of being together to come to the forefront of each of our days. Next, we're going to take a peek into early literacy. Early literacy opportunities allow us to gain and strengthen foundational skills such as letter identification, sound identification, phonemic awareness. We're able to take those foundational skills and incorporate them into opportunities to read and write, such as read alouds, poetry, writing opportunities like blank books, writing letters home, journaling about our weekends. And of course, our thematic studies are what weaves all of these pieces of literacy together and connects the learning that we take place in every day through that emergent early literacy opportunities. And now we're going to pass it on, sorry, I forgot about that, to Emily Bell.
Hi, my name is Emily Bell, and I am one of the K1 teachers here at Wickliffe. And I'm going to talk about math workshop. And math is another part of our school day. In kindergarten and first grade, our focus in math is building a strong mathematical foundation with an emphasis on number sense, patterns, place value, counting, and number formation. Math is integrated throughout our entire day, morning meeting, transition times, and in our play. We explore math through project work and a variety of math games, which are always a favorite of the children. We also use a curriculum resource called Bridges and Number Corner during math time. In K1, we will also do something called Math Switch, where 2 K1 teachers partner up, and one teacher will take all the kindergartners from both classes and teach math. And then the other teacher will have all of the first grade children to teach math. And I think that's all for that. And then I'm also the next one, which is project time. So one of our 10 foundational principles at Wickliffe is that we engage in thematic studies and foster authentic and emergent learning experiences for children. Project time is where we engage children in the curriculum through their passions and their interests. This is done through authentic connections to the real world and through community connections. Project time is an integration of all the content areas, including the arts. So children at Wickliffe will have their normal related arts times like gym and music and art, but we also believe that there's a place for this in the classroom as well. So that all takes place during our project time. Next is one of our intervention specialists, Caitlin Holland, and she will talk a little bit more about related arts.
Hi, my name is Caitlin, and I'm an intervention specialist, but I'm actually talking about related arts. As an intervention specialist, I do spend a lot of time in related arts supporting students with problem solving and working together as a team. At Wickliffe, special area teachers incorporate a lot of choice. For example, in the art studio, students get to select which medium they would like to work with. Therefore, you might see students painting, weaving, and working with clay all in one class period. Special area teachers teach for creativity, and like Emily kind of mentioned, they often collaborate with classroom teachers to integrate wellness and the arts into their current studies. And then next up, we have our school counselor, Felice, or Dr. Kasoy.
Thanks. I'm Felice Kasoy, and I'm the counselor in the building, and I'm going to talk a little bit about social and emotional well-being. One of the things that I love about working at Wickliffe is just when the rest of the world is discovering that something is important, like social and emotional learning, we've known it forever. So even though it's kind of a buzzword out there, this has been a part of who we have always been. And my job as a school counselor is so delightful because the teachers integrate into every aspect of the day social and emotional learning through authentic opportunities, like through play, through their morning meetings and community gatherings, like their neighborhood family meetings and our all school town meetings. And what we're really focusing on is a framework that encompasses self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and then responsible decision-making. And then I have the joy of going into the classrooms once a month and supplementing all the wonderful things that the classroom teachers are doing by teaching lessons to the students. I also run a number of lunch groups that are specific to shared identities or shared life experiences. And then for those kids who need a little extra boost, I do a lot of individual counseling. So it's a joy to be a part of this community, and it's a joy to feel so valued because social and emotional well-being is really at the heart of what we do if we really want to have engaged citizens in this democracy and children who are eager to learn and be friends with one another. So now I'm going to pass it off to my dear friend, because we used to share a room, Carrie Williams, who is our reading expert.
Hi, my name is Carrie Williams. As Dr. Kasoy said, I am the literacy specialist. And I don't know if you've picked up on the theme, but after hearing everybody speak so far and watching that amazing video, I hope you're grasping that our number one role at Wickliffe is to love your child. We want to love them. We want to cultivate joy. I think you're seeing that. And we want them to want to come back. So that's our number one job. We are very fortunate in Upper Arlington to have a bountiful amount of resources and supports for children. And those supports look different in all different areas because we are working with the entire child. So we have different supports that we use, and we all collaborate together to make sure that we are meeting the needs of your child. And I think one of the hallmarks of Wickliffe is that we all feel not only that we're a community, but a family, and we all take ownership in all the children. So regardless of what grade level they're in or what areas they might need extra support in, they are all our children. And we are very, very dedicated to meeting your child where they are. We don't want any parents or guardians to be concerned, oh, my child's not ready, or what if my child doesn't know this? Children come in at all different levels. That is one of the gifts of the multi-age classroom. Even when we had a straight classroom, the levels varied greatly within that classroom. Now, the fact that we have multi-age, children can fit in at all different levels, and they have no worries whatsoever where they are because everybody works together to support one another. So as a staff, we are supporting each other. As a grade level, we support each other. As a building, we support each other. So everybody is working together for the best interest of our children. And we want you to know that every structure and support that we have in place at Wickliffe is in place in all the elementary buildings. We all have the same structures. We all have the same curriculum. We all have the same supports. It might look different based on where the needs are and what areas are showing us that we need to focus on, but all the supports are available in all the buildings. And so we pride ourselves on making sure that we are meeting the needs of your child specifically. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful school nurse, Janice Walsh.
Hi, everybody. We are so excited to welcome your child in the fall. Again, my name is Janice Walsh. I am the school nurse here at Wickliffe. We are so fortunate in Upper Arlington that we have a school nurse available from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock every single day during school hours to support the health needs of your student so that they can learn their best. So one of the items that Mrs. Morley mentioned that you will need to submit as part of the registration process is an up-to-date immunization record. If you are curious as to the current Ohio summary of school immunizations, there is a link on this slide that you can click and find that information. One of the things that helps us to support your child best in their learning is to know of any special health concerns that we should be aware of. That could be a food allergy, it could be unnecessary medication to administer during the day, any other health concerns such as diabetes, asthma, seizure disorder. Whatever we can learn about your child before they come to school helps us support them best in the school environment. So there is a place during the registration process to list health concerns during that online registration form, but please, we encourage you to reach out to us with questions. My email address is on this slide, and you will also have an opportunity to share those additional health concerns during the kindergarten screening process. So again, welcome. We can't wait to meet you and your student. And now I am going to turn it over to Dawn Hoffer, who is the president of our amazing Wickliffe PTO.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Janice. My name is Dawn Hoffer, and I am the current PTO president at Wickliffe. I have a 6th grader at Jones and a 4th grader here at Wickliffe. So I have been around for a lot of years, 7 years. And I'm so happy to be here and to share about the Wickliffe PTO and everything that we do together as a community. But before talking about the PTO, I wanted to share a little bit about why my family chose Wickliffe for our whole K-5 elementary experience. So my husband and I, we went to all of the K-Info nights quite a few years ago. They were all great. However, after going to the Wickliffe one and seeing all of the kindergartners lined up, presenting their projects on their moon phases, we knew that that's where we wanted our kids to go. It was the right fit. And so that and meeting the teachers who are so loving and they're so great with the kids, and seeing the art in the school, for us, that just sealed the deal. So I'm happy to answer any questions at the end about why we made our choice, or any questions you might have for me from a parent perspective. Okay, so on to the PTO. So the Wickliffe PTO, our goal is to support student families and teachers. And in doing that, we really focus on educational enrichment programs while trying to have fun and building our community. Some examples of that include teacher grants. We grant all of our teachers, all staff members, a grant every year that can be used in whatever way they see fit. So classroom materials, classroom experiences, whatever the teacher and staff member needs, they can use that money for. We also have, we grant grade level experience money. So each multi-age grade level, they have a fund in which they can use for field trips, or they can have at school experiences with students, or author visits, or whatever it is they feel is appropriate to what they're learning in their classroom at the time. Another focus of ours is the organization of family events. As community has popped up a lot throughout the whole presentation, and it's important for us as well to build our community and gather families. So some of my favorite community building events that we have every year, we do monthly parent coffees, very informal, outside, dropping kids off, grab a cup of coffee, just have a touch point, meet some new parents that you might not have a chance to meet otherwise. We do a fall fest every year that is bounce houses and food trucks and fun, and people from years past come. We do a spring, we're calling it Wickapalooza this year, which will be a music fest, bringing everybody together, letting our 4th and 5th graders perform for the Golden Star Choir. We had a fall fun run this year, which was super fun. We got everybody out exercising, running laps at Fancyburg. So that was a great way to get people involved. We're having a art show this year as a gallery hop. It'll be a neighborhood hop. And I think my favorite new thing that we did, we at the end of the summer before school started, we had a K-1 meetup at Fancyburg Park. So once families got teacher assignments, we invited everyone to Fancyburg. We put stickers on kids based on who their teacher was, so they could find friends in their class. So everybody had a familiar face on that first day of school. So that was one of my favorites, and we got a lot of great feedback about that, and we will keep doing that. I just really quickly wanted to talk about childcare options for after school care. So I know this is so important to so many of our families. So as a PTO, we felt that a service that we could provide to all of our families would be to gather all of the options for after school care and put it all in one place for you. So we're currently working on that. And in the next week, we'll have a list of all of the after school care programs that bus from Wickliffe. So your student would get get transportation right from Wickliffe to their facility. And I know a lot of our families utilize a lot of these places. So we'll get it all in one place. I'm going to put it on our website. Angela, she has your email addresses, so she'll let everybody know once that's out there, and hopefully that'll just make that process a little quicker and easier for you all, because I know it is important. And that is just a good segue into our PTO website. So the Wickliffe PTO website, we worked really hard on building this out and putting all of our information in one place, so it's just easy for families. And we update it weekly. And with that, we send out a weekly newsletter that just is updating everyone on what's happening. So we really just try to include everybody and make sure everybody has the same information. And that's it. So my email address for the PTO is here, wickliffepto@gmail.com. Please feel free to email any questions, reach out. I'm happy to talk about anything. So thank you. Thanks for letting me share. Next, I think it's Jill Hughes is next.
Yes, thanks, Dawn.
You're welcome.
I'm going to share just a little bit. I'm one of the support staff here at Wickliffe. Welcome. I'm going to share just a little bit about kindergarten screening. We often get questions about kindergarten screening, and I'm one of the people who help facilitate that process. So I thought I'd hop on and answer a few things that you may be wondering. When you register for Wickliffe, you will have an opportunity to sign up for a day and time. Our days this year are in August. They'll be, a little bit before school starts, August 8th and 9th. Your child will come to Wickliffe on the day that they are assigned based on when you register and choose. And we will have a team of individuals and educators that will look at social emotional, we'll do some peer observation and some play. We'll do some academic assessments just to kind of get an idea of what students already control well and what we may need to teach or personalize for them. We also will conduct vision and hearing screenings at the screening. So it takes about 45 to 60 minutes from start to finish of when you walk through the door to when you leave. We also hope to have our PTO there to answer some questions from parent perspective as well while you're waiting. When you do come, we will escort your child to the place that we have set up for them to be a part of, and you will stay back and hear from Angela and the PTO. And then once we meet all of our students and go through the screening process, we go through a lot of conversation about what we observed and what we know about these students so far, and we develop our class list based upon that. So kindergarten teacher placement will be sent to families after screening takes place. So we go through that process, and then Angela will be emailing that information to you once we have our class list built. That's it for case screening. There are a couple other important information pieces that we just want to make you aware of as we're kind of coming to the close of our presentation this evening. Officially, the first day of school is August 16th and 17th for kindergartners. We do something here in Upper Arlington called Gentle Start Days. You may hear them referred to as staggered start days. And these are days where your child is able to come in a smaller group of students to get to know the teacher that they're assigned to and the building. So they will come with about half of their class on these days, and the other half will stay home, and then we'll flip-flop. So your child's first day will be confirmed and emailed to you after we go through those teacher placement lists, but it will be one of those 2 days. Our school hours are 8:10 to 2:50, and the first full day for all kindergartners to be together will be August 18th. On the right-hand side, and when you click back on this presentation, we do have links there to some important websites. We have the Wickliffe website, which we encourage you to check out. On this website has a lot more information about our 10 foundational principles, what progressive ed is, some of our history. You have links to other activities and things that we value. There's also the UA registration page, and then you can also find the district calendar for next year on the website. Next up will be Katie Copland. She's one of our 2-3 teachers, and she's going to introduce a fun little video as we close.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Jill. As Jill said, I'm Katie Copland, and I am fortunate enough to teach a 2nd and 3rd grade class here at Wickliffe. I'm also have 2 children who are Wickliffe alumni. They're 6th and 7th graders. And when you ask them what they love about Wickliffe, it's endless. And so for you, what a better way to learn about what students love about Wickliffe than to share a little video with you that the things they love. So I hope you enjoy.
What I like about Wickliffe is the big toy because I can play with all my friends on it. What I like about Wickliffe is that everyone's kind to one another. What I love about Wickliffe making new friends. What I like about Wickliffe is that my sister and my best friend is here. I love Wickliffe because I can play with my friends. What I love about Wickliffe is that I get to play Titanic in the gym. My favorite things at Wickliffe are art and SAC. What I like about art is that you get to create things and it's fun. What I like about SAC is that you have toys to play with and friends to play with. What I love about Wickliffe is about recess, playing with my friends, and we have lots of fun. What I like about Wickliffe is having a big buddy. My big buddy's name is Lucas, and he's in 4th grade. My favorite thing to do with him is draw. Friends. What I like about
Well, we hope you all got a nice feeling. It just warms our heart to listen to all of our K friends sharing what they love about Wickliffe. And we hope that as you embark on this journey, that you too will find a place in your heart for Wickliffe as well. This is the end of our part of tonight, and we hope that you have a better understanding of Wickliffe and what it is that we value here. We are going to take a minute just to gather some of our Q&A questions. If you have a chance, you can click the link on the screen, or even, well, you can't click the link. You can scan the QR code to fill out the form. We are just taking attendance to see who's here tonight so we can send a follow-up email to all of you present. I will stop sharing so we can have a chance to see everyone this evening. And Jill Hughes is going to take a moment to be our moderator for the questions tonight.
So in looking at the chat, there's a couple questions that the whole group would probably find beneficial. So I'll go ahead and read them, and then we'll have one of our staff members answer them. The first question was about the ratio between teachers and students in kindergarten and in our K1. Specifically, there was wondering about if we expect an increase in enrollment or what kind of our teacher to student ratios are. So I'll let Angela kind of answer that first about what our projected kind of numbers are and what she's thinking.
Yeah, so this year we did notice an increase in enrollment, and we are attributing that to our full day program that we are offering students. So with that, we have 7 K1 classrooms this year. And the ratio, we have about anywhere between 11 and 12 kindergarten students in each class. And that's the same ratio for our 1st graders as well. So we do try to be strategic about balancing the classrooms with kindergartners and 1st graders. So about on average, our K1 classrooms are 22 to 23 students.
The second part of that question revolved around how many sections we currently have.
Yes, so right now we have 7 sections of kindergarten, 1st grade classrooms.
Okay, the second question was about multi-age, and we're going to pass this one off to Dr. Irick to answer. The question is about, do we have any experience that the upper grade in a multi-age setting maybe becomes impatient with lower grade students, like 1st graders to kindergartners? And if so, how do you address this in class and how do you handle it?
Sure. I first and foremost want to say that our number one job is to love your child. And whether your child is a kindergartner or a first grader, we're meeting their needs where they are. So, in a lot of our understanding about early childhood and birth order, there's a lot of things that impact a child's perspective as they join the classroom community and as we co-construct it together. So whether your child is a first grader, whether your child's 6, 5, 7, the age, we like to look at ourselves as non-graded in that perspective. So we're not worried about where their age is, but we're just really honoring their unique individuality with their development. And so what that means is we do sometimes come together in a group, and that could be a conversation that Andrea was talking about would be appropriate at a classroom meeting or as we come together, whether it's during the middle of the day, after a recess, I think it really would depend on the personality of the child, but it would just be a conversation and an authentic opportunity for us to, whether we're going to role play that or model it. I just want to say that it's just so empowering for those first graders to take on that role, especially depending on their family dynamic, whether they have siblings at home. Maybe this is the first opportunity for them to have a younger peer around them, depending on their preschool experience. So there's lots of factors that play into it, but most important is that we're going to address those needs. We take the time, we value being emergent and making sure we process things together as a classroom family.
Thank you, Julie. Along those lines, Abby, there's a question about structure versus choice, and how do you provide a structure that allows and honors choice, but continues to also have structure?
Well, I feel like, first of all, I should probably introduce myself, because the one slide that had my name on it got deleted. So I'm Abby Blake, and I'm a K1. And so, geez, the structure question, I feel like we get that a lot because our name, the informal program, sometimes alludes to loosey-goosey. And so I'm glad somebody asked that question about structure. We spend a lot of time at the beginning of the year building routines and responsibility. And it takes a while, but once those things are in place, and then you can start to weave in some choices. And we all know that we're more engaged in things throughout all of our life that we can pick for ourselves, and kids are no different. So they're more engaged in things, and they feel like when they have a say in things, then it tends to work out better. But with choice always comes responsibility. So what I always say is, if you have a hard time making a choice, I'm going to make it for you, and you might not like what I pick. So sometimes we have to help them in the choices that they make. And sometimes they do a fabulous job and surprise me all on their own. Here's an example of like child choice in our classroom. So in the morning they come in and they handle their business, they hang up their backpack, and they check in for lunch, and they do a little morning work. And then we have a choice chart, which changes daily. But it has, 5 or 6 choices on it that that are appropriate for them that I've chose. So it's kind of like, what fruit do you want to eat? Do you want to eat strawberries? Do you want to eat grapes? Do you want to eat oranges? Do you want to have a banana? I don't really care, as long as you're eating some fruit. So it's kind of like that when they're making choices. As long as it's a choice that's spurring on your learning, your development, your play, then I'm all for it. And then it just works out well for us all. I don't know if that helped. That help? Anybody want to tag on to that? No? Okay. There you go.
There were a couple of questions just about screening that I can answer briefly. So there was somebody who mentioned they might not be able to make those dates because they'll be out of town. And are there other alternate dates for that? There are kindergarten screenings scheduled for each building, and you are able to attend a screening in another building if you would like. They do very similar things, and they will pass on any information that they gather. But if that's not something that you want to do or you feel like would be confusing for your child, please don't stress about missing screening, because we have those gentle start days. We also get to know your child in that regard. And we're happy to have, Angela or myself, or really anybody on this team would be happy to have a conversation with you ahead of time that you could share information about your child that may help us think about placement and those types of things as well. So don't stress if you can't attend screening. There will be other opportunities for us to get to know your child and your family. And then the other question with screening was related to IEPs, and maybe our intervention specialist, Caitlin, can talk a little bit about this too. The question specifically was, are IEPs discussed during the screening? We do have you fill out some information at the screening that lets us know if your child is on an individualized education plan. And we gather that information as part of the registration process as well. So you'll want to make sure to click that box when you register, because that does signal to us that we need to be ensuring that we're reading plans and making sure we have supports in place that are necessary. We don't really do anything with them at screening unless your child has specific accommodations that they might need to be successful at screening. And then we would be more than happy to do those. I don't know, Caitlin, if you have any IEP insight into how the transition from preschool to kindergarten works with an IEP.
I mean, there's typically transition meetings. They happen well, I can't promise you, but they happen throughout May. Especially they have a reeval to get a school age designation, and there might be some amendments through the IEP. So depending on what school you are going to, you'll probably have a reeval to get a school age and then amendment to an IEP. So you will be meeting with a team for your IEP.
Okay, thank you. There's another question, a couple of questions about curriculum, so we'll answer those as we can too. The first one was related to gifted. So the question was asked if we have gifted classes for math and English like the other elementary schools offer. So I'm going to let Katie Copland talk a little bit about that because she deals with this more in 2nd and 3rd grade.
Okay, hi everybody. Yes is the answer. So that's one of those kinds of services that, as Carrie Williams was saying earlier in the conversation, that support service is the same across the district. So what that looks like is there is gifted math at 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And that's where students leave their regular classroom and go and work with one of our amazing gifted teachers. And then there is, they call it GELA, which is Gifted English Language Arts, which is serviced at 5th grade. And what we're really fortunate is that we have 2 gifted instructors here at our school who are always consulting with us teachers and helping us support us to differentiate and meet the various needs of our students, because we know they don't just automatically become gifted at 2nd grade, that some of your sweet ones might be, gifted coming in as kindergartners and as 1st graders. And that's really the beauty of Wickliffe. Because we love your children and we get to know your children so well that we can really differentiate and meet their needs.
Thank you, Katie. The other curriculum question that was on here was specific to early literacy and was asking, in particular, since Wickliffe does a lot of theme-based learning, what the role is of phonics in particular and what that looks like. Do we teach it? Is it structured into our curriculum? I think that our reading specialist, Carrie Williams, would be a wonderful person to answer this question, but so would any of our K-1 teachers. So Carrie, why don't you start? And then if anybody else wants to jump in.
So this is a great question. And I would like to say, first of all, we use the same curriculum as every building in the district. So we are in that aspect, the curriculum is the same. So phonics is definitely taught in our district, and it's also taught at our grade level, all the grade levels. So to answer your question, there's phonological awareness and then there's phonics. Phonological awareness is the sound structures of our language, and that is foundational. We have to lay that foundation first before phonics can stick. So not to get too technical, but phonics is when you attach letters to the sounds. So we make sure that they understand the sound structure of our language, can hear, manipulate, play with the sounds, then we can layer in the phonics piece. So we absolutely teach that, and all of our teachers do a wonderful job. We have a curriculum called Foundations that supports the phonics piece, and the teachers are able to differentiate based on whatever the children need, whether it's more, less, or in between.
Any K-1 teacher want to jump in on anything with literacy?
I would probably just add to that, once we gain those foundational skills, when we take those skills and apply them in thematic study, whether it's reading something that applies to a study we're doing, such as right now we're working on Ohio animals, or when we are taking those skills and then doing a writing piece. So it's the acquisition of those skills and then the application, and those meet through those thematic studies.
Thanks, Andrea. Okay, we had 2 more questions, and then if anything else pops up in the chat, we'll be happy to add those as well. The first was just about SAC. So question was wondering to know a little bit more about SAC and its availability and how they can sign up. So Angela, I'll let you answer that for kindergarten. I think you're muted still.
I am. Thank you. Yes, so SAC is our school age aftercare child program. And unfortunately, next year, Wickliffe will not be accepting any new families into our after school program, which is why we are so happy to be partnering with our PTO and Dawn and generating a list of options for families when they do register as a Wickliffe student that will be available on the PTO website. In order to register a child for SAC, you can go to the uaschools.org website. But for next year, unfortunately, we do not have any openings for new families. Dawn, do you want to add anything else to that?
Okay.
No, we're good. Other than the only thing I would have to add is, like I mentioned earlier, we will have all those resources in the next, no more than a week, in the next couple of days. We'll have that available.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, our last question that I see on here now is probably a good one to end with, because if you're here, there is a strong possibility you are considering Wickliffe, and we're grateful for that. But you also know that Wickliffe is a choice, and it is a choice school within our district. And so we're so honored by the fact that you're considering us for a choice. And the question revolved specifically around, as a parent or a family member, what questions should we be thinking about as we try to decide between Wickliffe and a more traditional setting? I think we'll have Sarah Giles, one of our K1 teachers, start with that, and then anybody else can add in.
Sure, thanks, Jill. I think that it is important when looking at all options for kindergarten to have a chance to do what you are doing right now. Listen to the teachers, see what is valued amongst staff. There is not a bad choice in Upper Arlington for where you're going to go to school, but Wickliffe, I think, has something very special. When I first started teaching, our principal at the time would say that we believe Wickliffe is for every child, but it might not yet be for every parent. So we would encourage you to come and see, what does it look like? What makes it so special? I have 2 children, and both of my children go to Wickliffe. And so we knew in our family the things that Wickliffe had to offer that were above and beyond and so special was not what we personally found other places. But I think the typical questions you would ask in terms of, what will my child be learning? What will their day look like? What does lunch look like? Some of that is very similar amongst buildings. So I think the questions that you might want to consider when you reflect after being here tonight is, what will my child's experience be like in terms of what their day looks like with having meetings? What does their day look like with learning thematic studies? All of these things we've talked about, having big buddies, being in a multi-age experience. And I would just encourage you to come see it, because I think the feeling here is what's pretty great.
And I would agree with Sarah. I think that if you're questioning a school, I really encourage you to schedule a visit. And I know that Ms. Evans is giving tours of our building, and I always tell parents to look at the walls and look at the space and look at, is there child work versus teacher writing? Look at the way our neighborhoods are set up. Look at the opportunities they provide for play and engagement. Look at the artwork. Look, come in when we have children in our classrooms and just see it in action, because I think you can just, it's a feeling, and it might be right for you, and we hope it is. But it's okay if it's not, it's a feeling. And I just always tell parents that you just can get, I can walk into a school and without children there and get a feeling for what kind of place it is just by looking at the space and looking. I always look at the walls. I do. I just look at the artwork and the child writing. And when you walk in, you can see what kind of projects are taking place and look at the contrast of color on the walls and the children's work, and, how we make all of our learning visible to the world we live in a school. I have 2 children that went to Wickliffe, and they're in college now. And, I often, the older they get, I'll spend days where I look through their old work and their old projects and their portfolios. And even then, it was so visible being removed from it for now a really long time, how engaged they were in their learning and what a big ownership they had, and their experience in elementary school and their experience at Wickliffe. And, when Sarah said it is right for every child, I truly in my heart believe it's right for every child. And it might not be right for every parent. And a former administrator of ours, actually 2 administrators ago, his name was Fred Burton. That's a quote we all kind of take from him. And, he used that a lot. And it's true. And I just encourage you to visit and take a tour and just take it all in. And I think when you do that, you'll know what's right for your child.
I think too, another thing that you could do is talk to other families who, have been through Wickliffe and get their experience. I share the same experience as Kristen and Sarah, that I am also a former parent of Wickliffe. In fact, I moved here so that my daughter could be in Sarah Giles' class. So, she still now as a junior in high school talks of her most fond memories of her time in Sarah's space and her time here at Wickliffe. And so for something to resonate with a child years and years and years after they leave us, that's the imprint we hope to leave on their hearts and their lives. And so I think if you are on the fence or wondering, I know Dawn would be really happy to connect you with any families too, but that would be another really wonderful way just to help you with your decision.
I'm just going to chime in real fast because as many people know, I've been around for a really long time. And part of the reason why I've been around for such a long time is because I've spent the last 17 or 18 years in Wickliffe. And what I want to say is, to everybody's point, to Jill's and Kristen's and Sarah's, it's a qualitative difference. So that's why it feels a little hard to put into words. But I've had the privilege of, and I literally just did the count, of having 40 either interns or practicum students, either from Ohio State University, Capital University, or Walden. And bar none, they walk in on the first day and they say to me, I've never felt anything like this. And I think that speaks volumes. So none of us are getting paid more. There's not like a finder's fee, or we don't get commission. But I hope that what you hear is the love and the passion that we have about coming to this building every day. And one of the biggest joys for me was when I had 2 former alums who are now high school students. After the incident in Atlanta last spring with anti-bias towards Asian folks. And they asked if they could come lead a diversity group at Wickliffe to help children explore some of the important issues that they learned about when they were at Wickliffe. And there's nothing more affirming than having high school kids want to come back and spend time and pass along to our current students some of the things that they really valued and took with them. So if we haven't convinced you to come, then maybe it's not the right place for your family. And as Sarah said, there's 4 other wonderful choices, but we hope that you have the same appreciation for what Wickliffe is as all of us on this screen have tonight.
Well, that concludes our evening presentation for you all. And I mean, I just have to reiterate everything that everyone has said on the screen. I mean, it is a testament to how many of our own personal children have attended Wickliffe because of the community, the love, the compassion, and just the principles and values that we instill in children each and every day at Wickliffe. So please, if you have any other questions or would like to go on a tour, feel free to email me in the next couple of days and we can arrange something and set something up. I am going to share my screen one last time. So if you haven't had a chance to take a picture of our QR code and submit your name, now would be the best time to do that so I can reach out to all of you here later this evening. Have a great night, everyone. Take care. Thanks for joining us.